Hello Year 3 and welcome to the final reading of The Midnight Gang by David Walliams. Let's see what happens with the Midnight Gang now. So, chapter 57, Make Her Smile. There was an eerie silence for a moment while the two groups stared at each other through the glass that divided the operating theatre from the observation room. So remember, the Midnight Gang had just been caught by all of the hospital's top people. Then the most unexpected thing happened. The hospital principal, Sir Quentin Strillers, began to applaud. The doctors and nurses behind him began clapping too. From the looks on their faces, it was clear that they were deeply moved by what they had seen. So can you remember what the Midnight Gang had done for Sally? So they'd recreated all of the really important things that she might miss out on in life. So driving her car, getting married, passing all her exams at school, lots of things like that. "What's going on?" asked Robin. "It doesn't look like we're in trouble after all," replied Tom. Strillers rushed into the room, flanked by his doctors and nurses. "That was beautiful," the man cried. "Breathtakingly beautiful." "Thank you," said Amber. "It was mainly my idea." Tom looked over to George and the porter and rolled his eyes. "Well then, young lady, mighty congratulations are in order. Do you know what the most moving part was?" "Me pressing the buttons on the projector?" asked Robin. The principal didn't get the boy's dry sense of humour, so answered him seriously. "No, young man, although your button pressing was top-notch. What was truly wonderful was to see this little patient of mine smiling." With that, he patted Sally on the head awkwardly. The girl had been smiling right up to that moment. Now, Sally was rather annoyed that this man she barely knew was patting her like a dog. Here's a picture of all the doctors and nurses. All the doctors and nurses, in fact, everyone here at Lord Front Hospital, have been working so hard to help young Susie. "Sally," said Sally. "You sure?" asked Strillers. "Yes," replied Sally. "My name is Sally. Definitely. I'll remember that." "She can change her name to Susie if that helps you, Sir Quentin," offered Robin. "No, that won't be necessary, boy," said the principal, once again not getting the joke. "But one thing we never did, never even thought of doing, was to make her smile." "Thank you so much, Sir Quentin," said Amber, taking all the credit again. "My name is Amber, by the way, if you are thinking of recommending anyone for damehood." "Sir Quentin, it is very important. You know we couldn't have done this without this man," said Tom, hugging the porter tightly. "He is the man you sacked." Yes, murmured Strillers. "Well, my decision had been troubling me all day. After all, it was the great Lord Front himself who took this man in as a baby." The porter smiled. "He grew up here," continued Sir Quentin, "and he has had a job here for many years." 44 years, remarked the porter. "Is it really? Well, it's safe to say that Lord Front Hospital is your home." It always has been, and it always will be. Seeing the look of joy on Sally's face has made me realise you might just be the best person we have here at the hospital. Forgive me, gentlemen and ladies, but this man is worth 100 doctors and nurses." The doctors and nurses murmured their disapproval. "Thank you, Sir Quentin, sir," replied the porter proudly. "We look after the children's illnesses and injuries well here at the hospital," continued Strillers, "but we don't do nearly enough for their happiness. Porterman, sorry, what is your actual name?" "I don't know," said the porter. "I was never given one." "What? Why?" The principal was flabbergasted. "Surely everybody has a name." "My mother gave me up the day I was born," continued the porter, "and nobody adopted me. So I suppose no one has ever really thought to give me a name." "Well, that isn't right," said Robin, being serious for once. "We must find you a name," said Sir Quentin. "Is there one you fancy?" "I like Thomas," replied the porter. Tom smiled bashfully. "Thomas it is," announced the principal. "And, of course, Thomas, you have a job here for life. Just promise me there'll be no more flying naked old lady incidences." incidents. Tom Senior smiled. I'll try. Now, it's very late, said Sir Quentin, checking the gold pocket watch that hung from his waistcoat on a chain. I need you to all go back to your beds at once. Yes, sir, murmured the children. Let me call up to Matron to collect you from down here, said the principal. Oh, no, jumped in Tom a little too fast, remembering that she was sprawled out like a starfish on the floor. Our friend here, Thomas Senior, can take us up. Off you go then, and I don't want to hear another peep out of you all night. Thomas Senior smiled and began to wheel Sally's bed out of the operating theatre as the 4 other children followed. No, Sally needs to go back to the isolation ward, ordered Sir Quentin. The children looked downcast. But I don't want to, protested Sally. I want to be with my friends, please. The principal looked distinctly uncomfortable. Surrounded by his doctors and nurses, he needed to be seen to be doing the right thing. This girl was ill. The hospital had a duty of care. The man looked around everyone. Murmurs of, let her be with her friends, make the girl happy and give her what she wants could be heard. All right, bellowed the principal. Sally, you may go back to the children's ward, but just for tonight. Yeah, came a shout. Everyone in the room celebrated the good news. But I want lights out straight away, and you all need to get a good night's sleep. As if we would dream of doing anything else, sir, replied Robin with a smirk. Chapter 58. Tonight is forever. It was 3 a.m. by the time the Midnight Gang were back in the ward. Even though she had always been vile to them, the children felt guilty about Matron lying in a heap on the floor. So with Sir Thomas Senior's help, they placed her on one of the beds so she would have a good night's sleep. They even tucked her in. Thomas Senior took himself off to Matron's office to have a doze. As Matron snored away, the Midnight Gang played games, shared sweets and told stories. When the excitement had died down a little and George and Robin and Amber began to doze off, Sally turned to Tom. Thank you, Tom, she said. It was so kind of you to give me your dream. That's what the Midnight Gang is all about, replied the boy, putting your friends first. Well then, you have been the best friend ever. Thank you. You should try and get some sleep. I just wanted to ask you. Yes. What would your dream have been? The one you wanted to come true? I know it sounds stupid, especially next to yours, but what? I just wanted to see my mum and dad. Well, that's not stupid. I miss them so much. Where are they? Far away in the desert somewhere. When I was hiding in the basement, I overheard Matron say she had put the phone down on them again and again. What? And my headmaster burned their letters. That's disgusting. I know. I used to think they didn't care about me. Well, now you know they do. I hope so, Sally. I just want to see them. You will, I know it, said Sally with a twinkle in her eye. After a moment she added, I have to say it's been the most amazing night ever, Tom. It's been the adventure of a lifetime. Good, you deserve it. You are very special, but you need to go to sleep now. I don't want to. I want tonight to last forever. But it couldn't. Nothing can. As much as all the children on the ward wanted time to stand still for them, all to live in this moment forever, the morning sun shone through the high windows. The night was over. Chapter 59. My bottom hurts. As dawn broke, it was finally still and quiet on the children's ward. But just as Tom closed his eyes to finally try and get some sleep, he heard of a familiar voice echoing down the ward. It was Sir Quentin Striller's. Matron, he bellowed, what are you doing lying in bed? Tom opened one eye. Wake up, woman, shouted Strillers. I don't pay you to sleep on the job. The matron stirred. Where am I? You're in bed. At home? No, in the hospital. Am I ill? She asked. The sleeping serum that Tom injected into her must have really knocked her out. My bottom hurts. No, you are not ill, matron. You are in a deep, deep trouble. The other children all began waking up. They could barely contain their glee at hearing the adversary being told off like this. I am so sorry, sir, she said. Sorry isn't good enough, matron. I am taking you off the children's ward at once. You are now on toilet cleaning duty until further notice. Yes, sir. Sorry, sir, replied matron. The lady stumbled out of bed and scrambled out of the ward, one shoe on, one shoe off, clutching her sore bottom. Seeing that Sir Quentin was approaching Tom's bed, the boy shut his eyes in a pantomime of sleep. Boy, wake up! It's time for you to leave the hospital. Tom still pretended to be asleep. He didn't want to leave the children's ward. Not now, not ever. It was only when he felt a sharp prod of a finger on his arm that he realised he could no longer pretend. But I don't want to go back to my horrible boarding school, sir, pleaded the boy. That's fine by me. It's not your headmaster who is here to collect you. No? The boy couldn't think who it could be. Who do you think it could be? Yes, you're right. No, it's your mother and father. Chapter 60.